Parker Schnabel just accomplished something most people said was mathematically impossible. In a single mining season, he pulled $300 million worth of gold out of the Klondike. At first, people thought the number had to be a mistake. It wasn't just a new record. It was so far beyond anything seen before that it forced the entire mining world to rethink what's possible. To understand how massive this is, consider the competition. Tony Beats's best season brought in around $8 million. Rick Ness had a breakthrough year at about $5 million. Even the Hoffman crew at their peak never reached $3 million in a single season. Parker didn't just outperform them, he produced nearly 30 times more. This wasn't about getting lucky and finding one rich patch of ground. It was the result of building and running the most advanced, large-scale mining operation ever attempted in the Klondike. Parker had multiple claims running at the same time, processing plants operating 24 hours a day for 6 straight months, and new recovery systems that captured gold other miners were unknowingly losing. Most astonishing of all, he uncovered a geological formation so rich that experts are still studying how it even formed. When independent auditors confirmed the final totals, because many people simply didn't believe the numbers, the industry went quiet. This wasn't just a strong season. It marked a fundamental shift in what one mining operation could achieve in a single year. Marty Legina, known for witnessing incredible feats on Oak Island, called it the most extraordinary mining accomplishment he'd ever seen. Discovery Channel reportedly extended Parker's contract long-term, recognizing that what he achieved may never be repeated. But this story isn't just about money. It's about a 30-year-old miner completely rewriting the rules of modern gold mining. This season was the result of everything Parker had been building toward throughout his career. Every previous year had been preparation, learning how to choose the right ground, refining processing systems, understanding equipment limitations, and recognizing what becomes possible when expertise, capital, and opportunity align. By the time this season started, Parker had accumulated more hands-on mining experience than many people gain in a lifetime. But experience alone doesn't create $300 million seasons. What set Parker apart was vision, the ability to see potential where others saw obstacles, and the determination to pursue it. That vision began during the previous off-season. While reviewing geological surveys of the Klondike, Parker noticed something most others had overlooked: a network of ancient river channels buried deep underground. These areas hadn't been fully explored because they were difficult to access, extremely deep, and too expensive for most miners to justify pursuing. Everyone mines the obvious ground, Parker told his foreman. The surface gold, the easy pay dirt. But what if the real opportunity is deeper, in areas most operations avoid because of cost? He spent 3 months studying geological reports, consulting experts, and reviewing historical records about how the Klondike formed. Gradually, a new theory took shape. Traditional placer mining focuses on relatively recent deposits, gold that erosion and water movement redistributed over thousands of years. Those deposits can be profitable, but they're limited. Parker believed that beneath those surface layers lay much older concentration zones, areas where gold had accumulated over millions of years before being partially scattered by natural processes. If he was right, those ancient channels could contain exponentially more gold than the surface deposits combined. The challenge was cost. Reaching those depths required an investment level most miners simply couldn't afford. Parker could. Years of profitable seasons had given him capital, credibility, and strong industry relationships. Still, convincing investors to support such an ambitious plan required more than confidence. It required proof. He invested $2 million in exploratory drilling across several properties to test his theory. The core samples came back from depths of 80 to 100 feet, showing gold concentrations that were almost unheard of for placer deposits. The grades were so high that even experienced geologists were surprised. One consulting geologist told him, "If these results hold across the areas you plan to mine, this won't just be a good season. It could be the richest operation in Klondike history." Armed with that data, Parker presented his plan to investors: 5 properties operating simultaneously, all targeting the deep concentration zones with specialized heavy equipment built to handle the scale and depth required. The cost was enormous: $45 million for equipment, infrastructure, and operational setup. That's more than many mining companies spend over 5 years, committed to a single season. Most investors would have walked away from a proposal that bold. But Parker's track record spoke for itself. He had never had a losing season. He had grown his operation carefully and profitably. And now, the geological data strongly supported his projections. The funding came together through a mix of Parker's own capital, bank financing, and backing from experienced mining investors who recognized this as a rare opportunity. At the start of the season, Parker gathered his crew and laid it out clearly. "We're about to attempt something that's never been done at this scale. 5 sites running at the same time, targeting gold most miners don't even know is there. This will be the toughest season you've ever worked. But if we execute properly, it could become the most profitable season in mining history." What followed was exactly that, a season that didn't just break records, but redefined them. And in doing so, Parker Schnabel didn't just mine gold. He changed the expectations of an entire industry. The crew noticed something different in Parker's eyes. It wasn't just confidence, it was certainty. This was someone who had spent years preparing for this exact opportunity. He had studied every detail, run every number, and left as little as possible to chance. "We're in," his lead foreman said, speaking for everyone. "Let's make history." And they did. The scale of Parker's operation was unlike anything the Klondike had ever seen. He wasn't running a single claim, or even 2. He had 5 fully operational mining sites, each equipped with its own wash plant, excavators, support machinery, and dedicated crew. More than 200 employees worked across the operation. The combined processing capacity exceeded what many entire mining districts produced, but size alone doesn't guarantee success. What truly set this operation apart was how it was structured and managed. Each site had a clearly defined purpose based on the geology of the ground it was working. Site 1 focused on high-grade surface deposits that could be processed quickly, generating immediate cash flow. Site 2 targeted the deep ancient river channels using specialized drilling and heavy excavation equipment. Site 3 experimented with new processing methods designed for more complex material. Sites 4 and 5 acted as flexible support operations. If one area started producing better gold, resources could be shifted quickly to maximize output. "We're not operating 5 separate mines," Parker explained. "We're running one integrated system across 5 locations. Equipment, crews, and processing power can move wherever the best gold is." That level of flexibility required advanced coordination. Parker introduced management systems typically used in large industrial mining projects. Gold recovery was monitored in real time. Equipment performance was tracked automatically. Reports were centralized, allowing leadership to redirect manpower and machinery within hours if needed. Within the first month, results were already surpassing expectations. Sites 1 and 2 both delivered exceptional returns. Early excavation at Site 2 confirmed what the core samples had suggested. The deep concentration zones were extremely rich. Across all 5 sites, daily gold recovery averaged around 450 ounces, more than many operations produced in an entire week. And as crews improved their efficiency and processing systems were fine-tuned, production continued to rise. "We're on pace for something extraordinary," the operations manager reported. "At this rate, we could exceed $50 million this season." Parker smiled, but he didn't celebrate. "We're just getting started," he said. "Site 2 hasn't reached full depth yet. When we hit the main concentration zone, these numbers will look small." He was right. In early July, excavation at Site 2 reached the depth Parker's geological models had identified as the richest layer. The first cleanup from that level produced 380 ounces from just 400 cubic yards of material, a recovery rate that seemed almost impossible. A crew member stared at the scale. "Something's wrong. These numbers can't be right." The scale was checked again, and again. The numbers were correct. They had struck a concentration zone so rich that it challenged conventional geological understanding of placer deposits. Parker personally examined the material, studying the gold under magnification. "This isn't recently deposited placer gold," he explained. "This is ancient concentration. Gold accumulated here over millions of years and was never redistributed. We're mining the source, not the leftovers." News of the discovery spread quickly through the Klondike. Other miners came to see it for themselves, trying to understand how Parker was producing such astonishing results. Tony Beets, known for rarely praising competitors, toured Site 2 and stood silently for several minutes watching a cleanup. "I've been mining for 40 years, he finally said. "I've never seen gold this concentrated in a placer operation. You found something that shouldn't exist." But discovering rich ground was only part of the challenge. Extracting it efficiently required systems capable of handling massive volumes while minimizing gold loss. Parker had invested heavily in custom wash plant designs. He combined recovery methods from different sectors of the mining and industrial world. From hard rock mining, he adopted advanced fine gold concentration techniques. From industrial processing, he integrated automated controls that optimized recovery in real time. And from his own years of field experience, he added innovations few others had considered. The result was recovery efficiency 30 to 40% higher than industry standards. While many operations lose significant gold in their tailings, Parker's system captured nearly everything. "Every ounce counts at this scale," Parker explained. "If we're processing 50,000 cubic yards per week, even a small improvement in recovery translates into thousands of extra ounces. Investing in better processing more than pays for itself." By midsummer, total gold recovery had surpassed 15,000 ounces, already enough to qualify as a remarkable season by any standard. But Site 2 kept delivering at unbelievable rates. Daily recovery there alone climbed to 600 ounces, with some days exceeding 700 ounces. The cleanup room began facing a new kind of problem: logistics. The volume of gold being recovered was so high that armored transport to secure vaults became a regular necessity. A consulting geologist summed it up clearly. "You're processing what's essentially a small ore body. These grades are more typical of hard rock deposits than placer. You've discovered something that can be mined like placer, but behaves like a hard rock ore deposit. That's extraordinary." For a moment, Parker allowed himself to appreciate what had been accomplished. Years of preparation, millions invested, relentless execution, and results that exceeded even his boldest expectations. But he wasn't finished. There were still 2 months left in the season, and in the Klondike, August is usually when miners start thinking about winding down. Parker had something else in mind. Most miners slow down as the season winds toward its end. Parker made the opposite choice. With Site 2 producing gold at record-breaking levels, he decided to accelerate instead of easing off. Equipment that would normally be used carefully to extend its lifespan was pushed to full capacity. Crews worked longer shifts. The wash plants ran 24 hours a day under constant supervision. His operations manager raised a concern. "We're burning through equipment life and exhausting the crew at a rate that isn't sustainable. We can't keep this up forever." Parker's response was calm and calculated. "We don't need to keep it up forever. We need to keep it up for 8 more weeks. Then we shut down, rebuild the machines, and give everyone a proper break. But right now, while this ground is producing like this, we take every ounce we can." It was an aggressive strategy. Some might even call it reckless. But Parker had already weighed the risks. Equipment can be repaired or replaced. Fatigue can be managed with rotations and substantial bonuses. What can't be replaced is an opportunity like this. Ground this rich doesn't last forever. Production climbed even higher, 800 ounces a day, then 900. On the strongest days, over 1,000 ounces. The numbers sounded unreal. Recovery rates never before documented in placer mining history. Because so many in the industry doubted the reports, independent auditors were brought in to verify everything. They spent 2 weeks reviewing documentation, observing cleanups, and checking the processing systems. Their verdict was clear. The numbers were accurate, and if anything, conservatively reported. This operation is producing gold at levels comparable to medium-sized hard rock mines, the lead auditor concluded. It's the most productive placer operation ever documented. But success at that scale brought challenges Parker hadn't fully anticipated. The sheer amount of gold being recovered created security concerns. Armed guards became necessary. Transport logistics grew more complicated. Managing tens of millions of dollars moving through the business required sophisticated financial systems. "I'm a miner, not a banker," Parker admitted during one rare moment of frustration. Handling this much money is more complicated than digging it out of the ground. To stay focused on operations, he hired financial professionals to manage the flow of capital while he concentrated on strategy and production. Meanwhile, pushing equipment beyond normal limits led to more frequent breakdowns. Maintenance crews worked around the clock to keep everything running. Then, a critical excavator at Site 2 suffered a major failure. A breakdown that could have shut down operations there for weeks. Parker didn't hesitate. Instead of attempting lengthy repairs, he purchased a brand new replacement excavator outright for $2.5 million in cash and had it delivered within 72 hours. Most operators would have tried to fix the old machine. Parker simply replaced it and kept moving. "That's a level of commitment you rarely see," Rick Ness commented as the new machine arrived. Parker's not just mining gold. He's operating at a scale where the usual rules don't apply. By late August, cumulative gold recovery had surpassed 25,000 ounces. At the season's average gold price, that represented more than $50 million in gross value, already the most successful season in gold rush history by a wide margin. Still, Parker wasn't satisfied. The ground was still producing. Site 2 showed no signs of running out of high-grade material. Geological projections indicated weeks of strong mining remained. "We're pushing through September," Parker told the crew. "I know you're tired. I know the equipment is stretched thin, but we're sitting on the richest ground anyone's ever mined. We don't walk away from that unless we absolutely have to." The crew agreed. Bonuses were substantial, life-changing for many, and everyone understood they were part of something historic. As temperatures cooled and other operations began shutting down, Parker's sites continued running at full throttle. September production even exceeded August's output. The final weeks delivered some of the richest cleanups of the entire season. When freezing conditions finally forced shutdown in early October, Parker stood at Site 2 and watched the last load of pay dirt move through the plant. 6 relentless months of effort had come to an end. Now came the moment of truth. The final accounting process took 3 weeks and involved multiple independent auditors. Every ounce had to be verified, weighed, and properly valued. The logistics alone were staggering. The gold filled secure storage facilities and required extensive documentation to meet regulatory standards. Parker demanded complete accuracy. "These numbers will be examined by everyone in the industry," he told the accounting team. "There can't be any doubts, no exaggeration, no room for criticism." The preliminary totals arrived during the first week of review. Total gold recovered, 147,000 ounces. At an average seasonal price of approximately $2,150 per ounce, the gross value came to roughly $316 million. Parker stared at the figure. Over $300 million from a single season. It was far beyond even his most optimistic projections. Of course, gross revenue wasn't the final story. An operation of that magnitude came with enormous costs. Roughly $45 million had gone into equipment and infrastructure. Operating expenses, including wages, fuel, maintenance, transportation, and logistics, added approximately $85 million. Total expenses reached about $130 million. That left a net profit of approximately $186 million. After taxes and other financial obligations, Parker personally netted around $120 million from the season. Investors received extraordinary returns, far exceeding their expectations. Crew members earned bonuses that, for many, were life-changing. It wasn't just the richest season in the show's history. It was a season that redefined what modern placer mining could achieve. But the true value of the season went far beyond the gold already pulled from the ground. Parker now controlled mining claims with proven reserves estimated at more than 500,000 additional ounces of recoverable gold. Based on current market prices, those reserves alone were valued at roughly $800 million. When you factor in his proven processing systems, highly experienced crew, modern equipment, and strong industry reputation, the total value of Parker's mining operation exceeded $1 billion. At just 30 years old, Parker Schnabel had built a billion-dollar mining company, not through luck, but through expertise, vision, and the courage to execute at a scale that intimidated nearly everyone else. The mining industry responded with a mix of admiration and disbelief. Trade publications ran in-depth features, trying to break down how he had achieved something that once seemed impossible. Mining conferences devoted entire panels to analyzing his strategy and systems. One industry analyst wrote, "Parker fundamentally changed what we thought was possible in placer mining. He proved that with strong geological understanding, sufficient capital, and innovative processing methods, a single operation can reach production levels previously believed to require multiple companies." Tony Beets, who had long been considered one of the Klondike's most dominant miners, publicly acknowledged Parker's accomplishment. "The kid did something I never thought was possible," Tony admitted. "He's not just a great miner, he's changed the industry." Rick Ness put it even more simply, "Parker just lapped everyone. The rest of us are competing for second place." But perhaps the most meaningful reactions came from the old-school miners who had known Parker's grandfather, John Schnabel, and had watched Parker grow up working at the Big Nugget mine. "John always said Parker was special," one of them reflected. "But I don't think even your grandfather imagined this. You've exceeded every expectation. This isn't just impressive, it's historic." Parker accepted the praise with his usual humility. Still, those close to him could see the quiet satisfaction. He had proven that bold vision, backed by knowledge and disciplined execution, could accomplish what others thought impossible. The success brought major changes beyond the mine. Discovery Channel renegotiated his contract on terms that reportedly made him one of the highest-paid personalities in reality television. Mining equipment manufacturers competed for his endorsement. Investors from around the world reached out with proposals for new ventures in other regions. But Parker's focus didn't shift. The $300 million season wasn't his final goal. It was proof of concept. Even as the season closed, he was already planning the next one, studying new ground, refining processes, and developing innovations that could make even this historic year look modest by comparison. The legacy of Parker's $300 million season will likely be studied for decades, not just because of the money, but because of what it revealed about modern mining's potential. He demonstrated that innovation, scale, and disciplined management could unlock value that traditional approaches had completely overlooked. The deep concentration zones he uncovered also changed how geologists viewed the Klondike. Research institutions began studying how gold could accumulate at such depths and densities. Early findings suggested that similar deep placer deposits might exist in other mining regions around the world. As one prominent geologist explained, Parker didn't just mine gold. He exposed gaps in our understanding of placer gold distribution. There could be billions of dollars worth of deep deposits globally that the industry overlooked simply because we weren't searching at those depths. Mining companies worldwide began re-evaluating their properties. Equipment manufacturers started designing specialized machinery for deep placer operations. Geological consultants saw increased demand from miners hoping to replicate Parker's success. What made his achievement even more impressive was that it wasn't simply about spending money. Yes, he invested heavily, but every dollar was strategic and calculated. Anyone could have spent $45 million on equipment, one analyst noted, but only someone with Parker's knowledge and experience would have known where to mine, how to optimize recovery, and how to manage an operation at that scale successfully. The season established Parker not just as a successful operator, but as a legitimate industry leader. He was invited to speak at mining conferences around the world. Major mining companies sought his advice on improving processing efficiency. He became the face of modern placer mining, showing that it could be highly technical, professionally managed, and extraordinarily profitable. His success also raised standards across the Klondike. Other miners knew they couldn't match his scale overnight, but they could learn from his methods. Processing systems improved. Geological research became more advanced. The overall level of professionalism in the region increased. Parker's season was good for everyone, Tony Beets admitted. He showed what's possible. That makes the rest of us think bigger, work smarter, and push harder. For Parker personally, though, the $300 million season meant more than money or recognition. It was validation of a lifetime spent in mining. From childhood days, working on his grandfather's claims to running the most successful single-season placer operation in history. My grandfather taught me that gold rewards smart work, Parker reflected. This season proved he was right. The gold was always there. It just required the knowledge to find it, the determination to pursue it, and the courage to mine it at the scale it deserved. He entered the season as a highly successful young miner. He finished it as a legend, someone whose achievements would be discussed for generations. Parker Schnabel's $300 million season isn't just another record in the books. It's a complete redefinition of what modern gold mining can achieve. Before this season, the biggest success stories were measured in millions. After Parker, the standard changed forever. While most miners measure success in the millions, Parker measured his season in the hundreds of millions. The difference between him and the rest of the industry isn't small or incremental, it's exponential. But what truly makes his achievement remarkable isn't just the money. It's the fact that a 30-year-old accomplished something that entire mining companies, with decades of experience and virtually unlimited resources, never believed was possible. He did it through deep geological understanding that allowed him to identify gold others didn't even know was there. He did it through processing innovations that recovered gold other operations were unknowingly losing. He did it through operational management capable of coordinating massive complexity at an unprecedented scale. And most of all, he did it by having the courage to commit fully to a vision that most people dismissed as unrealistic. The mining industry will never be the same. Parker didn't simply raise the bar, he moved it into an entirely different realm. Every miner now understands that the limits they once accepted may not have been limits at all. With the right knowledge, sufficient investment, and relentless execution, what seems impossible can become achievable. Yes, Parker shattered records. But more importantly, he proved that the true constraints in gold mining aren't always geological. Often, they're limits of imagination and boldness, and Parker has both in abundance. If this $300 million season proved anything, it's that he's only getting started. Whatever he does next may make even this historic achievement look like just the beginning. Please subscribe to the Timeful channel and don't forget to like.